so much for letting me interview you.
Thank you.
And welcome to Amsterdam.
Yes, I just arrived.
Yes, and you've just had a fantastic reading. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to your discussion about your new book.
I'm glad.
And congratulations. And I read two of your other books, History of Love and Great House, where you discussed your characters are lonely and isolated. Can you tell our readers about that?
I suppose that I guess it must be some reflection of my own experience in the world, like childhood, or some foundational sense of being, right?
Yes.
But I do think that characters who tend to be not in the thick of things, so not in the middle of a noisy conversation or a noisy family, often are characters who are deeply observant.
Yes, deeply observant.
And who have a lot of time to think in solitude. And I think that kind of thinker, or that kind of self-reflective person, is very, very interesting to me.
Yes.
And I find that it tends to make more sense in a more introspective person, so less of an extrovert. So there are writers who write wonderful books about extroverts, about those noisy families, about scenes of many, many people talking, arguing. But my interest or my music is somewhere else.
Okay. And can you tell me about what compels you to write all of your work? I mean, it's what's compelling in your stories?
Some sense of freedom, I think.
Yes,
some
that's
sense
what I
of
pictured in your discussion this afternoon, this evening.
Yeah, and I hope in some sense that one feels that in the work too. That just in that sense that when you write, you have extraordinary freedom that you can claim for yourself.
Yes, and you can just enter this world.
You can enter into the world, but you can also choose the conditions of that world, and also you can choose many possibilities for being. So you can pour what's most personal to you, or your own experience, into some other thing, right? So whether it's like an old man, in the case of the Novelist, History of Love, or whether it's somebody who looks very much like you, even as your name, as in the case of the Forest in the book. But to whom extraordinary surreal things happen. So you have this freedom to stretch reality as you live it, and I think that's an extraordinary feeling, and it becomes sewn into the fabric of your life.
Yes. And can you tell us, because I have so many self-published authors, people that are so looking forward to getting their book out there, is there any tips or any suggestions? I mean, you've got to keep going with your passion, you've got to believe in yourself. Is there something that is for you cornerstone?
I wish I could say it, and I will say that I do think that there are many, many writers who would have good advice, who went about writing books in a fair way, I think, which is how does one write a book that lots of people would write to buy and publish. But I can only say that in my experience, it was not going about it that way, which ended up being successful, which is to say, writing according to what my own instincts were, my own sense of artistry, or my own urgent questions, whatever they were, rather than questions of what would sell or what would interest other people. And so even once I did have books that people were interested in or read, I couldn't continue to subscribe to the same way of writing or to pleasing the same audience. So I actually think in my case, oddly enough, and that's why I'm not sure if it's good advice, but it was a refusal to do that.
I think some of them will relate to this. It's a refusal to be part of a system, but to have more of your freedom.
To have your freedom and to feel that even if you write something which is considered unpublishable, or which is published and very few people read it, that isn't a judgment on its worth or whether you should have written it. And I think we all know those books which at the time of their writing were read by no one, or a handful of people, or a few thousand people, but that go on over a long period of time to continue to tell us something about who we are, and they last for centuries. So it sort of depends on what matters to you, right? Are you the writer who wants to be commercial? Then somebody else will have a good advice for how to do
but
that.
But if you want to be different, potentially, you need
to write a book that hasn't been written before. And there isn't an equation for that beyond simply having some courage, I suppose, to figure out what that means for you. What is most original in you.
I think that's good advice. And just the last question: how did you feel? You're in extraordinary. I mean, the New York Times, most important writer of this century.
I don't think they call me that. I don't think
Yeah, it was a little, okay, well, that's what they said.
Who knows what they say?
It was quite something to read. But anyway, the point being is that how did you feel when you published your first book? It must have been fantastic. You got a publisher, was it amazing?
Yes, it did, but regardless of whatever those things look like from the outside, I must say that from the inside, it did feel to me like a period of struggle. And I think any young writer knows this, maybe young women writers know this especially, so that your desire to be taken seriously is not often echoed by the world's instinct to take it seriously. So I know that it looks like that. I know that it looks like instantaneous
Success.
but I see it differently. I do feel and remember the ways in which it was a struggle, which is not to discount how good the experience was, and I do think it was lucky.
Yeah.
It's just simply lucky to be born into English as an American writer. If you have this chance to be translated, right? Into something like, so if you're born into Dutch or Hebrew, or
it's so different.
It's different. It's Arabic. It's different.
Yes.
It's different.
Oh, definitely.
So some of that is luck of what you were born into.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I feel both sides of it, like the gratitude of having been lucky in that sense, but also the real memory of the various ways in which it was a fight to get that sense of.
I think the self-published authors will definitely relate to you about that, because it's a huge fight at the moment to be able to get their work out there, to be seen, to be heard, to be recognised, to be appreciated. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the interview.
Good. Nice to speak to you.
Yes, and Literary Globe members, thank you very much to Nicole Krauss for this interview. Thanks. Bye-bye.